We're gonna end up with a leveled up Malphite for our trouble. I've been on a bit of a hiatus because I've had a lot of work stuff going on, so I wasn't able to record, and I haven't really played Runeterra at all. I'm going to be very rusty. This is literally going to be my first games back in days, so just bear with me. But today's video is going to be featuring Chip, because honestly I missed the little guy and I wanted an excuse to play him. So we're going to be playing Akshan with Targon and Malphite, so that I can maybe make Malphite become respected. The poor mountain is just having a hard time. So that's what today's video is going to be. Now, if you're somebody who just cares about the gameplay, as always, I use time tags. You can use those to jump ahead. If you happen to like today's list, the deck code will be in the video description. Link to Mobalytics will be in the video description. And if you're new, consider subscribing, hit the like button, do all those things. So quick overview of the list, because honestly, there's not a lot fancy going on. Chip, the entire reason I wanted to make the video today. We love Chip. Shaped Stone, because we're playing landmarks, but also a lot of very easy activators such as Akshan, Blue Sentinel, and Rockhopper. Yes, all of our 2-drops either immediately create landmarks or become landmarks when they die, so we're trying to turn things on as early as possible. Running a couple of copies of Preservarium just to kind of refill your hand, because this is going to be a bit more like a traditional mid-range where you're going to use your bodies to control the board until eventually you hit the point where you just have bigger bodies. This deck is hopefully going to be a bit better against aggressive lists if you just body block, but it would struggle against other, what I call high-end mid-range lists like Deep. I think Deep would roll us over, for example. But this is basically, you know, the premise, right? Early game, we're trying to turn things on, get a board presence. Absolver, running 2 copies of this. This is mostly to give Malphite overwhelm late game so that he stops getting chump blocked. 1 copy of Hush, because we are in Targon after all. I could even see this being 2, but I was already running out of spots for the list. Merciless Hunter, still busted. If you're playing Shurima, you should be playing this card. We are running Akshan, so of course we're running the Vagabond. Also, it makes landmarks. Hooray! Earth Elemental. This is just a 2 of, because although we have a lot of things to turn our landmarks on for Shaped Stone, hitting 4 is a bit more difficult, so this is currently only a 2 of. 1 main deck Ground Slam, and then obviously if you have Malphite and you draw a second one, that activates more. This is a card I'd love to fit at least 1 more in. Solari Sunforger. Do you remember when I said you're using your bodies to control the board? Well, this is a great way to do it with Lifesteal as well. And in the weird instances where you've got Akshan on the board and then you've drawn another one, if you can target the Sunforger with something like Shaped Stone and then use the hook, it's a huge burst of life. So it's not quite as flashy as old school Targon Demacia, but technically the plays are still there. And then your top end is of course Ruin Runner, because it's good. Stonebreaker, again a 2 of, just like Earth Elemental, because it's a bit harder to turn on, but when you do, it's very impactful. And then Malphite. So this is the list. Like I said, not a lot fancy going on. I just wanted an excuse to play Chip, and Akshan works really well with Chip for very aggressive openers. So we're gonna go play the deck. Hopefully it's not too bad. Like I said, I haven't played in days, and let's do that now. Looks like we're gonna be up against the Lulu Jinx aggro deck. If you're not familiar with this deck, it just plays a ton of cheap cards and units, tries to spam the board, go aggro, use Jinx as a finisher, but it makes use of cards like Lulu as well to give those cheap units some extra staying power here. And we have an okay hand as well. We'll see how this goes. The Ruin Runner, not much help here, unfortunately, I think, for this matchup. By the time this matters, the game will likely be over. Our goal here is to just try to keep their board under control and try to limit the amount of overall damage that we take. So this is unfortunate because we're just going to be taking all of this. There is not a lot we can do here, unfortunately. At least I should say not a lot that we can do that is opportunity cost effective. We can go ahead and see if we can get rid of this young witch with a nice value trade. They could be pausing if they've got some sort of combat trick. Maybe they've got a twin disciplines and they're saying, all right, do I want to develop a unit here or not? They also do have this to worry about as well. And so I think now we're just gonna go ahead and take this trade and this trade and see what we can do with it. They do have the chompers. This list tends to actually run a fair amount of chompers, both between the amazing baboon, but then also just traditional chompers, because again, with so many of those cheap support cards, it makes this card very expendable, very good. And so there is a picks as we talk about ways to pump this up and make it relevant. We're gonna go ahead and play another rock hopper, I think, because if they led with this, then they might be looking to play more. And it's essentially between hopper and hunter, but okay. Well, we're gonna go ahead and save it, even though they're likely gonna just charge into it here with the chompers as well. We still want to make them have to kind of spend that unit. That's not necessarily great for us at the moment either. Interesting, because they didn't want to expend any of those. I think I'm fine with one rock hopper trade here. I don't think I want to sacrifice these for those, because I would prefer to either push some extra damage or utilize them in a different way. So what I want to do here is see if we can get rid of the support unit so that we deny, hopefully anyway, the ways for them to abuse these. I say hopefully because naturally they have another picks. Not much we can do about that. I think we want to proactively get rid of at least one of these chompers. The interesting dilemma we have is they can't block this, but we open up the opportunity for them to block this, and then we could get this value trade. But I think we want to stay on pace with trying to keep their board under control, but also dealing enough damage, because at some point this is going to have to come down and we're going to have to look for a window to potentially finish them. We are also worried about like them playing Jinx, for example. Interesting that they decided to save this as opposed to the alternative. So I guess we do this. I don't know why you wouldn't just take the trade unless they were looking to get a value trade out of that, but that just felt like a very bizarre play to me. We're gonna go ahead and play the Preservarium just because they only have the one card in hand, so it's more than likely safe. All right, so they go with the Experimenter, which is great for them. And then we have to make our decision on the Vagabond or not. So this obviously starts the Palace going, but then we don't really do anything else for the turn. So I think this is going to be our Ruin Runner, and then we're going to wait and see what we draw next turn to decide whether we go with the Malphite or not. Malphite is kind of nice in this matchup just because it's such a big body. It puts the emphasis on the opponent to really come up with a way to burn us, because this becomes a pretty big wall. I was gonna say there's got to be something else coming there. We're gonna go ahead and do this. I should have blocked the picks, but I realized way too late that they were out of mana. That's entirely a play mistake by me. Don't do that at home, gang. Do not do what I just did.
Cool eye patch.
You like it? I mean,
I think here we just want to flood the board and go wide. My biggest concern is honestly just them finding Jinx at this point. Okay. Unfortunate for us. But I think we're gonna let this go. And I guess we're playing a Malphite one way or the other now.
not a chance.
Yeah, so obviously pick still being here, a bit of a mistake. I think we still do it this way, even though we have the opportunity to take that value trade on the picks. I am very close to leveling Malphite. Without leveling Malphite, though, it might not be worth it. It might be worth it to just go this route instead, since the Sentinel doesn't actually level our Malphite. And I think this is the way that we're gonna go, since I made the mistake the last time. But that's just it. When you make a play mistake, you can't dwell on it. You've got to dig your way out of that hole. We're doing a good job of just getting in their way, which is kind of our goal. Another Ruin Runner here is good. We have hit the point in the game where the Ruin Runners are relevant. Oro Cannon is not great for us because of the elusive units, obviously, but we do at least have a backup Malphite in the form of a ground slam that we can maybe use to deal with one of them. Expected this, but I think I'm okay with it. And at the moment, we really just fear Jinx, and we have the answer for it. It's not a direct answer, but it's an answer anyway. We're just gonna let this go.
I wonder.
Scared of a fair
Spell
fight?
shield doing spell shield things. That's a Lulu.
There's nothing a good giggle can't fix.
So this is interesting because I expect Lulu to buff something, and we could just hush whatever it is that she buffs and then block accordingly. And so I think that's what we want to do. We could preemptively hush this so that she doesn't have the opportunity to, like, maybe make the chompers big or something, but this is very surprising to me. Very surprising indeed. All right, we are just gonna let that through, I think. I don't want to use a hush on the 1/1, I don't think. This is great pickup for us. Likely gonna be burying something. Was an awkward mouthful, but it is what it is. Well, now this is unfortunate. That's the third experimenter they've found. And so at this point, it's just like a guarantee they're going to find the Jinx.
Radiant strikes.
Mind your own mischief.
And that's going to be problematic if they find that
How easy
Jinx.
on the hands, they're new.
Gonna give us a Poro, that would be kind of nice. Take the Hush here because it gets rid of Lulu and gives us the health. Again, still just one landmark away from being able to
Just you and me, Fishbones.
activate things. Gotta hope this is not something they can play for free. We will stop at least one Jinx here. All right, so we are going down to 3, it would look like. So the reason that we are not playing her is we need this to pop so that we can then play her, which will then level our Malphite. And as long as they don't have burn, we should be fine. We could have popped this first if we were worried about the burn, but we don't have anything that's going to allow us to heal anyway. The Absolver is a solid pickup here. And so now we're going to try to stun everything and get our Malphite attack in. But again, they could just be sitting on something. And there it is. And we will give Malphite overwhelmed. So I made a lot of mistakes this game. You can tell that I haven't played in a few days. Thank you, work. But nonetheless, we got to win. We're going to hopefully clean things up here and play another game. I'm sorry, gang. So it looks like we're going to be up against Viego, but paired with Shurima. But no Thresh, no Nasus, just Viego and Shurima. Interesting. We really wanted a chip, but maybe we'll top deck one. We did not. So in this instance, in this next round, we're likely gonna lead off with a Rock Hopper, as we want to get that landmark down. It very well could just be a Vile Feast. It's a great counter to this early Rock Hopper. We could save ourselves with a Shaped Stone. A lot of options, really, but we're gonna start with this. Okay, that's also fair because of the way the order of operations works. That token gonna be taking it up a notch. We'll go ahead and play Chip. And Akshan.
We love it when they run.
This is justice.
And I think we're just gonna swing with Akshan here because we want to get the countdown going on the palace if we can help it. And we nicely pick up a backup Akshan, but we do have the ground slam option here. We hope that this is successful. We would like to get more strikes out of our madman if we can help it.
If I'd forgotten, then no.
I think what we're gonna do is we're gonna go with the Rock Hopper first, and then leave ourselves with this Merciless Hunter if they do play into it. It leaves us with 1 mana left for the Shaped Stone. But I wanted to do this because with them hitting 5, if they're thinking about playing Viego here, we want Viego to run into this Roiling Sands. And so now we're hopefully stalling them out. We do also want to start trading into this, I think, if we can help it.
Gonna catch the sky.
And I think this is what we want to do. The reason we want to get rid of some of these is we don't want Viego to come down and then have them start blocking, because that will slowly work on speed leveling Viego. If we can help it, we'd like to actually hold on to this shaped stone plus the grappling hook. Yeah, so this right here is to me telegraphing that they wanted to play Viego. They didn't because of the sand, and they might be slamming it now.
The whole world will know my language.
And so then we are going to turn around and try to answer before they get to make any sacrifices or shenanigans. This works out very well for us. We've got a pretty full board, but I think the predict is still going to be more relevant at the moment. Malphite passed halfway to leveling up. Not much we can do there, unfortunately for us, but we'll see what we can find here. Preservarium, Hush. Interesting, because Hush is obviously more utility, but Preservarium helps out our immediate situation, I think, a bit more. And so we're going to take that. Finds us another Akshan. I actually think we let this one go, and then we just play another one. Yeah, I think that's what I want to do.
Scores to settle, crooks to kill. You know how it is.
Because right now we're looking at taking an open attack, because again, we know they found a Viego. It's the only champion they're running, so we would like to force them to trade some of this before they get Viego down, before they get any value. So
You'll see me. Yes.
I expect something like a glimpse here to deny. Wow, we're gonna actually get that strike as well. We will take this. This is fine. It's a bit of a bloodbath, but
Oh dear. Can't steer.
we like it. So there's the Viego. Oh, and now we have some options. We have Malphite, or we have the Hunter. I actually think that the Malphite makes more sense here. It's just a really big wall. We're gonna draw extra cards off of the Preservarium here anyway. And the only thing we're really doing is putting Akshan at risk because they have mana. But with them having so few cards, I think I'd rather have a big blocker for any sort of open attack. So they're gonna go find another Viego. Now they could use the Viego champion spell here to try to kill my Akshan, and if they do that, we will shape stone them. For a couple of reasons. One, it speeds up the horde, but two, it means that they would take a kind of ridiculous amount of damage on their Nexus. Yeah. So we don't have to worry about that. That's nice. Ruin Runner here, good pickup at this stage of the game.
Surrender to me.
Malphite is at 8 of 10, and so even though we have a lot of potential options here, I want to lead off with the Sentinel, because if we block with the Sentinel and it dies, that means our Malphite will level up. I think we also want to leave mana available for the shaped stones, as opposed to playing the Ruin Runner, because again, if they try to use the Viego champion spell, we could surprise their Nexus quite handily. I think this is the big piece, right? If we can hit this with Malphite,
Look at them shaking in their boots.
potentially leveling, that could be a very big deal for us, because it would eliminate many options for their blockers. So they are going to try to work on getting Viego in a position to level up.
A little further. Bingo. Step like
And we what? Just take the rest, I think. I mean, this one's gonna die anyway, right? So I guess we're fine with blocking these. I think the real option is actually this, because it also gives us another strike there. I think this is fine. We don't want the other units to die, but these ones were going to die regardless. We're gonna end up with a leveled up Malphite for our trouble. We could have also used Malphite to block here, but I think I just valued getting this strike, because now even if they do have something to try to kill him, we can pop this at burst speed. Big boy Malphite got in there. So listen, I made a lot of play mistakes. I'm a bit rusty. I took a lot of days off. I apologize, but I hope you had fun. I think the deck is neat. Apparently everything is bugging out there. Okay, sure. It's not, I think, something that I would recommend climbing with. It can certainly get some wins, but with so much Shurima Ionia on the ladder right now, I think I tweeted it last week, but the current meta is what I call the Spider-Verse meta, where technically they're all different, but they're also all kind of the same. There's like 5 different Shurima and Ionia decks that are playable on the ladder right now. And they're all technically doing different things, but it's still also the same like base power level, just applied in different ways. You've got the OG Zed Sivir, you've got the Akshan Sivir, you've got the Akshan Lee Sin, you have the Akshan Infinite Loop combo, and so on and so forth, right? So with all of that, I think a list like this is only going to be about 50-50 with that. There's a lot that you can do in the early game to really slow them down, specifically using your own rock hoppers against them, using your own merciless hunters. You can kind of you know, reverse your fates, reverse your fortunes, and then if you can stall to the point where things like your own Ruin Runners come online, Stonebreaker gets you some good value, or even Malphite just sets up a big wall, then yeah, you can absolutely beat that deck with you know, versions of this deck. But it's not what I would consider it to be a favored matchup, and so right now I think if you're looking for a way to climb the ladder, you've got to play decks that have favored matchups into those lists. And obviously with me still hanging out in Diamond, I'm not focused on climbing anyway. But yeah, we're having fun. I hope you had fun. I hope you enjoyed the list. Thank you for watching. If you made it this far, thank you for putting up with the extended hiatus. Thank you for putting up with my ranting that I'm doing right now. Again, you can tell I have not made content in a while because I should have wrapped this up a while ago, and I'm still talking. But I appreciate you, and until next time, may you walk on warm sands.